In the Hebrew tradition, the desert or the wilderness is never seen as a place of dead ends or wasted time. Instead, it is viewed as a high-intensity training ground designed to strip away everything non-essential. Imagine a traveler forced to cross a vast expanse of sand with only the bare necessities. In this environment, your survival depends entirely on your ability to distinguish between what you want and what you actually need. When we face periods of professional or personal uncertainty, we are essentially in the desert. The psychology of the desert teaches that these moments are not meant to destroy us, but to act as a filter. It is where the weak habits of a comfortable life are replaced by the hard skills of a survivor. In Exodus chapter 16, the focus is not on reaching the destination instantly, but on the daily discipline of gathering just enough for that day. This forces a mindset shift. You stop obsessing over a future you cannot control and start mastering the immediate variables. The desert proves that the most stable people in a crisis are those who have learned to trust the process of daily discipline over the illusion of long-term certainty. In an era where information is cheap and promises are often broken, the ancient wisdom found in Proverbs chapter 12 verse 22 suggests that a person's word is their most valuable financial asset. In the ancient marketplace, there were no digital contracts or legal teams to enforce every minor deal. Business moved at the speed of trust. If your word carried weight, you had access to resources, credit, and partnerships that others didn't. Today, we live in a world of sheer, collapsing credit trust. When everyone else is cutting corners or using fine print to escape responsibility, the individual who maintains absolute integrity gains a massive market advantage. It is a survival law. Honesty isn't just a moral choice, it is a strategic one. By being the one person who does exactly what they say they will do, especially when it is inconvenient or expensive, you build a market value that is irreplaceable. In a volatile environment, people will always pay a premium to work with someone they don't have to second guess. Your integrity becomes the hard currency that remains valuable even when the local economy is in chaos. In nature, a vine that is never cut back eventually stops producing high-quality fruit. It wastes all its energy growing thin, weak branches that spread too far but offer nothing of value. The Hebrew agricultural laws found in Leviticus chapter 25 and the imagery used in ancient wisdom traditions emphasize a vital survival principle, the power of the cut. To grow something significant, you must first be willing to remove the good to make room for the great. In our modern lives, we often measure success by how much we can add: more projects, more assets, more connections. But the wisdom of subtraction teaches that in times of crisis, survival depends on your ability to prune. This means looking at your life or your business and identifying the energy drains, those tasks or habits that take up 80% of your time but only give you 20% of your results. By intentionally cutting away these distractions, you focus all your resources into your core strength. Just as a gardener prunes a plant in the winter so it can explode with life in the spring, radical pruning ensures that when the season of growth returns, you have the focused energy required to dominate your field. Most people wait for a giant opportunity to change their lives, but ancient wisdom points to one of the smallest creatures on earth as the ultimate survival expert. Proverbs chapter 6 tells the sluggard to go to the ant, not because the ant is powerful but because it is consistent. The ant doesn't have a commander or a boss, yet it stores its food in the summer to survive the winter. This is the strategy of micro-tactics, the understanding that massive success is simply the result of small, invisible actions repeated over a long period. When you are facing a macro crisis, like a market crash or a total career shift, the scale of the problem can be paralyzing. The ant's strategy is to ignore the bigness of the problem and focus on the smallness of the next step. If you need to build a new skill, don't look at the 5-year path, look at the next 30 minutes of practice. If you are rebuilding your finances, don't worry about the total debt, focus on the next dollar saved. By mastering the micro-habits of preparation and diligence, you build a fortress of security that is immune to the chaos of the outside world. Survival isn't about the one big move, it's about the 1,000 small moves that no one sees. When a storm hits at sea, the most dangerous person on the ship isn't the one who is afraid, but the one who panics. Panic leads to fatal moves, decisions made out of pure survival instinct that actually accelerate the disaster. The Book of Psalms serves as an ancient manual for emotional intelligence, specifically showing how to process raw fear without letting it hijack the steering wheel. Throughout these poems, the writer often begins in a state of total distress but ends in a state of calm resolve. This transition is a psychological technique, acknowledging the reality of the danger while simultaneously grounding oneself in a higher perspective. In high-pressure environments, the storm is often internal. If you react to a market drop or a professional setback while your heart is racing, you are likely to sell at the bottom or quit too early. By practicing the emotional discipline found in Psalm chapter 46, the ability to be still even when the earth gives way, you create a mental buffer. This buffer allows you to observe the crisis as data, rather than as a personal threat, giving you the clarity to make a calculated move while everyone else is jumping overboard. The modern world often views growth as a straight line that should go up forever, but ancient Hebrew wisdom describes life in cycles. The concepts of the sabbatical year, Shemitah, and the Jubilee found in Leviticus chapter 25 established a rhythm of 6 years of work followed by 1 year of rest and debt release. This wasn't just a religious rule, it was a sophisticated economic preparation mechanism. It forced the community to acknowledge that lean years are an inevitable part of the natural order. Applying this 7-year cycle to modern asset protection and career planning changes how you handle the fat years. Instead of spending everything during a peak, you operate with the constant awareness that a downturn is mathematically certain. If you treat your career and finances as a series of seasons, you use the high-growth periods to build a sabbatical fund that allows you to survive and even thrive when the market inevitably rests. Those who ignore the cycle are crushed by the downturn. Those who respect the cycle use the rest period to outpace their competitors who are too over-leveraged to survive the winter. In any competitive environment, there is a constant temptation to take the shortcut, to exaggerate results, bypass regulations, or sacrifice quality for a quick win. However, ancient Hebrew wisdom offers a sobering warning in Proverbs chapter 21, "A fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare." This isn't just a moral warning, it is a law of sustainability. Those who build their success on shortcuts are essentially building on a fault line. When the economic or social ground begins to shake, these are the first structures to collapse because they lack the structural integrity of truth. The ethical edge is the hidden advantage of the person who plays the long game. While the shortcutter is constantly exhausted by the need to cover their tracks or maintain a false image, the person who adheres to ancient ethics of justice and honesty moves with a lightness and speed that others cannot match. They possess a reputation capital that compounds over time. When volatility hits, the market looks for a safe harbor. They look for the individual who has remained consistent and just. By refusing to compromise your core principles for a temporary gain, you ensure that you are still standing when the fleeting vapors of the dishonest have vanished. In the end, the most practical survival strategy is to be the person who can be trusted when everything else is falling apart.